Good morning, everyone. Today we're gonna learn chapter 6 Perception and Individual Decision Making. Okay, for this chapter, I will talk about learning objective. After studying this chapter, you should be able to explain the factors that influence perception, explain attribution theory, explain the link between perception and decision making. Contrast the rational model of decision making with bounded rationality and intuition. Explain how individual reference and organizational constraints affect decision making. Contrast the three ethical decision criteria. And the last one, explain the three-state model of creativity. Okay, guys, for the next one, look at the meaning of perception. Please read this slide and try to understand. Okay, what is perception? Perception is a process with reorganize and interpret sensory impressions in order to give meaning to our environment. What we perceive can be sustainably different from objective reality. For example, all employees in the firm may view it as a great place to work. Favorable working conditions, interesting job, assignments, good pay, excellent benefits, understanding and responsible management. But as most of us know, it's very unusual to find agreement universal opinion. What is perception important in the study of OB? Um, Simply because people's behavior is based on their perception of what reality is, not on reality itself. The word as is perceived is the world that is behaviorally important. In other words, our perception becomes the reality from which we act. To understand what all of us have in common in our interpretables of reality, we need to begin with the factors that influence our perceptions. Okay, next, please look at this model, factors that influence perception. Factors that influence perception. Okay, guys. A number of factors shape and sometimes distort perception. These factors can reside in the perceiver, the object or target being perceived, or the situation in which the perception is made. Perceiver, when you look at a target, your interpretation of what you see is influenced by your personal characteristics attitudes, personalities, motives, interests, past experience, and expectations. In some ways, we hear what we want to hear, and we see what we want to see, not because it's the truth, but because it conforms to our thinking. For instance, recent research indicated that supervisors perceive employees who start work earlier in a day as more conscientious and therefore as higher performers. However, supervisors who were night owls themselves were less likely to make that erroneous assumption. Some perceptions created by attitude like this can be counteracted by objective evaluation, but others can be insidious. Consider, for instance, observed perceptions or a recent shooting in New York. There were two eyewitnesses. One says a police officer shoots and short, a feeling man. The other said a hand-covered man lying on the ground was shot. Neither perceived the situation correctly. The man was actually attempting to attack a police officer with a hammer when he was shot by another officer. Next, target. The characteristic of the like it also affect what we perceive because we don't look at targets in isolation. The relationship of a target is a background influences perception and thus our tendency to group close things and similar things together. We can perceive women, men, white, Asians, Africans, all members, or any other group that has clearly distinguished characteristics as alike in other unrelated ways as well. Often, these assumptions are harmful as when people who have criminal records are prejudged in the workplace even when it is known they were wrongly arrested. Sometimes differences can work in our favor too, such as when we are drawn to targets that are different from what we expect. For instance, in a recent study, participants respected a professor wearing a t-shirt and sneakers in the classroom more than the same professor wear easy dress แบบ white white shirt white normal shirt something like that. The professor stood out in the classroom setting perceived as an individualist. Context. Context matters too. The time at which we see an object or event can influence our attention, as can location, light, heat, or situational factors. For instance, at a club on Saturday night, you may not notice someone deck it out, yet that same people. So a try for your Monday morning management class would constantly catch your attention, right? People are usually not aware of the factors that influence their view of reality. In fact, people are not even that perceptive about their own abilities. Thankfully, awareness and objective measure can reduce our perception distortions. For instance, when people are to ponder specific aspects of their ability, they become more realistic and their self perceptions. Let's next consider how we make perceptions of others.